Hey, Frankie here. So today I've got a really special video for you. It's all about what does Google want? I mean, how can you actually give it to them so that they send you customers, clients, and patients every day repeatedly on autopilot? And when you do this, you can actually make a lot of money from it. You can be like this baby just swimming in this pile of money. I don't know if you'll quite have those eyes, but you'll be very happy because you'll have customers that are just like this that say, "Shut up and take my money." And the reason is not because they're dumb customers or anything. Actually, just the opposite is they're educated customers who know what they want, and so they're just looking for a source of the right company to give it to. So they tend to be a lot higher sort of quality individuals. But the problem is that have you ever dealt with Google? Google's a little like this movie called What Women Want, which is like if you got a woman like mine who makes you watch all these terrible romantic comedies, this is what happens. But in the movie, he finds out that when he can hear women's thoughts, that he's even more confused because they all want something different. And so Google's kind of what I compare it to, like a pregnant wife at 7 a.m. who's or 4 a.m. on super period. Wife is pregnant. Don't ask. Cookie sandwich. So let me give you the short outside view, and you've probably heard this analogy before if you've ever done any research, but I'm going to show you kind of some analogies of real life that actually kind of simplify this. So only about 10 to 15% of how Google ranks a website is actually what's on your website. So, like really simple example of your hardware store, and there's another hardware store, but that hardware store got a story in the local newspaper and they link to them on their website. That hardware store is probably going to rank even higher than this one, regardless of, who has a better hardware store website and all those things. So Google looks at these backlinks as almost like a vote of confidence. Like if other people are saying you're unique and interesting, then you probably are. And just like in real life, if you were say running for mayor and you could get a vote from your local newscaster, that would be a lot more high profile than say if it was, I don't know, your neighbor Dave. I'm sure Dave's a nice guy, by the way. I'm not picking on Dave. He probably mows his lawn extra nice. But at the end of the day, Dave's vote doesn't carry as much as the newscaster's vote. So you're going to see that a lot of this analogy holds true. And so what Google's really looking for more than anything is your website, naturally getting links. And I'm going to show you what a natural link profile looks. This has come from probably studying uh, extra nerd 5,000 websites and looking at what makes a natural website actually get links. So this will also shed some light into a long time ago in a faraway galaxy is why does SEO take so long? That's probably one of the $1,000,000 questions you have is why does this take so long? And really because Google looks at this and says, well, if a site's natural and they're actually doing stuff, people are going to continually link to them over time, slowly but steadily. And so it's pretty abnormal for a site to show up one day, get 10,000 backlinks, and then never have a link again, right? That just screams that a tool or some automated piece of spam built it. As we're natural and organic sites, they continue to steadily get links over time. And so that's part of the reason why it takes so long is because we have to consistently get links steadily over time. So I'm going to show you the four things that Google looks for the most. Probably it's three, and then kind of like this fourth one is a little smaller. But if you were naturally getting links and people found you interesting, here's the question. Where would they be coming from? Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that social media. It shouldn't be a big secret that social media is very big. And I'm not talking just about your own Facebook page. In fact, you don't even have to have a Facebook page or Twitter or any of those things. It's really that are other people sharing your content on social media. So the more that actually happens, the more you can engineer that on purpose, the more Google says, hey, this is probably a legitimate website. And then the second place really are blogs. If you were actually getting natural and organic links, people who blog and actually talk about your sort of type of content all the time on their website are probably going to be, occasionally linking to you because you've done something interesting that's worth sharing about in your industry. So, like if you're a plumber, then a place that talks about plumbing tips is probably going to say, hey, this plumbing tip comes from this plumbing website and it was really helpful. So something like that. So, blogs are probably the second pillar of natural link growth. Another one should be really obvious when you think about this is the news. And so the news is really, really interesting because of course, it's a real litmus test for, is your site actually getting, real organic growth, and are you doing stuff that's interesting? And so what you'll notice about these three different types, social media, blogs, and the latest news, is they're actually all editorial. Is that it's usually other people writing about you. Now, this can be manipulated. That's the whole point of paying an SEO company. But the idea of this is that these are the sort of the hardest links to manipulate. So when Google looks for something natural, a lot of times people do things like they put comments below blogs, and they do kind of like a lot of different spammy things. But those are really easy links to get. And so Google's going to look at that and say, hey, if those are all really easy links to get and they're not editorially given, then you're probably not an interesting site, which is why so many of these sites get hit with penalties. But I find in my experience, if you stick with the big three, which are social media, blogs, and news, you're usually pretty immune to the Google updates, because it's really hard to be a spammy website and to be getting, legitimate news coverage and getting your legitimate news coverage shared in Facebook and Twitter, right? So you tend to survive all the Google updates because you're always just giving Google what it wants. And so, whoops, I've got news twice here. And then the other one I want to show to you to a lesser extent is discussion forums. If people obviously find your stuff interesting, they're probably just going to be organically talking about you in discussion forums. So although discussion forums, can be more easily manipulated than the others, so these are the biggest three that are most likely to be giving editorial and actually because you're doing natural organic stuff. So I hope this was cool. And this should shed some light into, really, if you're going to hire an SEO company, whether that be us or even somebody else, where you should make sure they're focusing on, again, which is social media, blogs, and news, and forums. Because if they're focusing on really easy to get links, you're really just opening yourself up to having a ranking that's going to get smashed down by a Google penalty in 6 months from now. But if you focus on doing stuff that's natural and probably a little more difficult to get in the first place, you're going to build your SEO on a really strong platform and be able to rank and get customers for a long, long time. So if you like that, I've also got a really cool special offer below this video, so click that button and I will see you in that video. Thanks for watching. Frankie, over and out.